Tame the mad mind. Mind is a bad master and a good slave. Written by Saurabhi Shahi. Narrated by Saurabhi Shahi. Chapter 2. Meeting an old friend Aaryan. It was a party day, as I had planned. Mere an idea of meeting my college buddy was bringing in so much joy. I got up in the morning, got ready, and rushed to my office. Today was the day to meet my college friend Aaryan. I reached my office with full excitement. At the main entrance, I met my boss. I could make out he was not in a good mood. Since it was morning, I greeted him good morning and escaped from the sight. I made my way quickly to my seat. Grabbing a few deep breaths and soothing my throat with a glass of water, I turned on my PC, but it was not turning on. I restarted it and it was rebooting. Suddenly, I felt a pat on my back. I turned around to see, and to my surprise, it was my boss standing behind me. He had walked down to me for an urgent presentation, and my system was still struggling to reboot. "It's urgent, be quick," boss said. "Boss, give me some time," I replied. My voice was full of fear while seeking the permission. He nodded his head and went back to his cabin without uttering a word. As soon as my system started, I marked him a mail with the presentation in the attachment. "Ah, what a relief, it's done," I exclaimed. Within 5 minutes, my desk phone rang, and it was my boss. He had called me to his cabin. I walked to his cabin, flung the door open. The moment I entered, he screamed at me. He added, "What a horrible job you have done." He rogered me by his words. It was a bad day at work. The presentation still needed improvements. With an ugly face, I returned to my seat. I invested full day in modifying the presentation as it was urgent. In the evening, I went back to his cabin to get his feedback on the presentation. I knocked the door before entering his cabin. I said, "May I come in, sir?" And in a hoarse voice, he said, "Come in." I pulled the chair and sat down. There was a pin drop silence in the room. He was busy taking a glance at the presentation that I had emailed to him a few moments back. His eyes rolled up and down on the screen. His face had strange expressions. I failed to interpret those facial expressions. It was a mixture of all the emotions. I found it weird, as it started with a frown on his forehead and ended with a pout on his lips. A moment later, he looked at me and said, "It's perfect." He had approved it. I was happy. At least my full day's hard work had finally turned out to be fruitful. In a very polite words, I said, "May I leave from the office an hour early today, boss?" Boss said, "Yes, you can." I was about to leave his cabin, and he called my name. And he pointed out a big mistake in the presentation. I had to modify it before leaving. How can this happen? I did everything in the presentation as per my boss's instruction. I was running out of time, and I felt harassed and targeted. I could not take it anymore. Anger flooded my veins, and we had heated arguments. My boss wanted me to stay back, and it was not at all possible at that moment due to my personal commitments. He warned me of the repercussions. Despite that, I left the office in anger to meet my friend. My face was squalid. I plodded into the two-wheeler parking of my office, picked up my bike, and pushed off to home. I reached home earlier than usual. Mom and Dad were having tea. I too joined them. It was such a relief to me, as it helped me to refresh my mood and to forget the office episode. I informed Dad I would be coming late at night as I had plans with my friend Aaryan. Dad asked me, "Where are you going?" This very question agitated me. I bursted on him. "Why do you need so much information?" I said in a very loud voice. "Dad, it's my life. Let me live it on my own terms. It was a very normal question any father would ask, but my furious mind failed to answer it with a calm. I screamed and yelled at such a petty thing. Seeing my behavior, my mother got scared. I grew violent and had no control on my mind. She quietly walked into the kitchen. My home ambience was full of negativity because of this catastrophic blast of my anger. I failed to spot anything good around me. I rushed to my room, took a shower, and got ready. Later, I picked up my bike keys and left the house without informing my parents. I started my bike. Hearing the ignition sound, Mom peeped out from the balcony. She waved me by, but I was not in a mood to wave her back. I ignored her and took the way to the pub cum restaurant to meet my friend Aaryan. When I reached the place, the sight was delightful. My college friend Aaryan was standing in front of my eyes. I pinched myself to assure that it was the moment we were together again. Both of us entered the pub. We found a cozy corner for us to sit. We traveled down the memory lane and soon went back into the fun days of our college. The vivid memory of the college kept flashing. It seemed as if a slideshow was going on in our mind. After getting comfortable, we ordered some drinks. We chatted all those hours. Our conversation was a quick tour to the college days. We emptied everything that had bottled up in these months after passing out from the college. 4 hours flew away just in a snap. After having 4-5 drinks, we ordered some biryani to feed our hunger. Both of us were hungry and we were waiting for our order to arrive. Soon, a boy who was at our service came posing a broad smile on his face with a sizzling biryani. The sight of biryani engulfed us in its aroma. It accelerated our hunger. He served it in 2 different plates. While serving, some biryani fell on the table and some on my beige-colored trousers. I ignored it and asked him to clean it. He came with a cleaning cloth to wipe the table. While cleaning the table, his elbow got hit to the glass of water kept on my side. It trembled down, spilling all over my pants. My anger flared up now and I slapped him. The hotel staff gathered to settle me down. I was drunk and was getting violent. This little tiff turned out very big. To control me, they gave me fist blows and my nose started bleeding. Seeing this, Aaryan intervened to protect me and gave some blows to the restaurant staff. Both of us were high on alcohol. He fell unconscious. I was not in my senses to understand anything. He was unconscious due to the influence of alcohol and I failed to realize this. I thought something serious had happened to Aaryan and I created a devastation in the restaurant. I was like a vehicle without a brake. Whatever came in front of me got ruined. I banged the tables, threw the chair, broke glasses and mirrors. My untamed mind created a rage of destruction, leaving many injured. The restaurant staff thrashed me. They were around 24. They had beaten me up black and blue to control my fury. By now, the restaurant manager had called up the nearest police. The police came at the spot to control the scuffle going on in the restaurant. Even the police gave me lathi blows to control me. They caught hold of me and poured chilled water on my head to bring me back to my senses. I regained my senses and saw the havoc I have created. Nothing was in place. My clothes were crusted with blood. I had dried blood stains on my upper lip and all around my mouth and nose. It was quite obvious. The dried out lines on my face were the tracks where the blood had escaped through my lips and my nose. I looked around. The admirable surrounding that I had entered with my friend to have a good time had now turned into a devastation ground just within a few hours. I was surrounded by people seriously injured and they all were the part of the destruction caused by me. All of us were taken to the nearby hospital. All injured were now in the hospital for the first aid. Aaryan was still unconscious and it was worrisome. Is he alive or dead? This question haunted me. My wrath was growing. It was around 2 a.m. The hospital emergency gave us all the required first aid. Everyone went back home after the first aid, but we both were still at the hospital, completely unknown from the gravity of the situation. The police had called up our parents, informing them about the scuffle. They came at night to see us. They had tears in their eyes. I could see on my mom's face she was having the pain of all the injuries I had. The helplessness was clearly visible on her face. Aaryan's parents too looked scared and worried. The police asked our parents to arrange for the bail. As the restaurant manager had lodged the FIR on us, we landed the police lockup and my parents went back home. Aaryan was also implicated in the case as he had tried to protect me. The court rejected our bail petition the next day. Our offense was serious as we left many people injured. We were now sent to the judicial custody for 14 days. My parents had teary eyes and they felt helpless. With a heavy heart and disappointment, they went back home and we landed